We can start. Should we wait or we'll start? 5 people there. Please sit comfortably. Maybe somebody can put a message in the group that the session is starting. Please sit comfortably. Oh. Sahana bhavatu, Sahano bhunakto, Sahaviryam karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadhyasya yatonmayaditaratascha artheshvabhigyam swarat tene brahma hridaya adikavaye muhyanti yat surayah tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha Dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam Satyam param dhimahi Satchidananda rupaya Vishvotpatyadi hetave Tapatraya vinashaya Shri Krishnaya vayam numaha Narayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Tato Jayamudiraye. Hari Om. So now we have come to the Matsyavatara. We have seen how Satyavrata was approached. Parikshit asks about Matsyavatara and Shukhamuni starts it. This is the time of Pralaya, the Mahapralaya. And in this Pralaya, there is the Nitya Pralaya and Naimitika Pralaya. So Brahma's one kalpa is over and now he has to go to sleep. So one kalpa is 1 day of Brahma and another kalpa he goes to sleep. That is the night. And that is the time of Pralaya, when Brahma goes to sleep. And this is the Naimitika. The whole world completely gets submerged in the oceans. So Satyavrata was then approached, in the form of a fish. Lord Narayana comes, Satyavrata recognizes the divine form. And that was the beauty. He recognized the divine form and says, I know who you are Narayana. And then Narayana tells him that within 7 days, in one saptaha, the deluge, the Mahapralaya will happen, and he has to collect all the seeds. The Oshadi, it says. To collect all the Oshadhis, all the seeds that are necessary for creation. The whole world, when we go back to sleep, is there within us as seeds. The moment we wake up, it sprouts again. I'm able to see the world just as it was. So similarly, he's told, and Satyavrata then does for 7 days. He just sits on the kusha grass and he meditates on the Lord. No tension, no halagula. Oh my God, what will happen? This is going to happen. I should do this, I should do that. He's just sitting there knowing that the divine is taking care of things. And on the 7th day, he saw the dark clouds coming and the earth was fast disappearing. And at a distance, he saw the promised boat coming towards him as he had been instructed. He took the Oshadis and seeds of all the many plants. And who was also there? The 7 rishis were with him. I don't think we read this, no? The 7 rishis. We read it, is it?
Aarti ji, what is this Naimitika meaning?
So we have Nitya Karma, like Nitya. Nitya is something that happens every day. Even in our karma, when we do like Nitya is that regular
Routine.
Routine. I go to sleep. I light the diya every morning. Nitya is every day.
Everyday routine.
And Naimitika comes periodically.
Okay. Special occasions.
At a longer duration.
Okay.
Which will also come on a regular basis only. There is a clear time, but that comes
like our Amavasa Ekadashi.
Amavasya, Ekadasi, the tithis that people do, Shradham and all that. Those are all the Naimitika. So it is a longer period, not that every day. Naimitika Pralaya. When all the seeds are get into the
dormant.
Somewhere our Nitya Pralaya is our everyday sleep, you can say. Nitya Pralaya is our everyday sleep. The whole world goes in and we in the morning we get up. So Nitya, there is a Pralaya, and the Shishti Sthiti Laya is happening on an everyday basis for us. When we go to sleep, there is a Laya. When I wake up, there is a Srishti, and then there is through the day, there is the Sthiti. And the Mahapralaya is like the Kalpa. In terms of Kalpa, in terms of numbers, it's very huge. But we can say probably something like when we leave the body. Brahma's 1 day. That's a huge number actually. Brahma's number, if you look at the universe itself, the universe is nothing. The whole universe is nothing. But like in YouTube, we have so many seeds of information, right? In YouTube, everybody is putting their own thoughts, and we are watching that. That is a world. How is YouTube? YouTube is nothing without people's thoughts and which has come from their desires and their actions. There is no universe as such. It is people's like that. This whole universe that we see as projection is also a superset of all the vasanas of all the people, the plants, the animals, and everything. Superset. Made of the superset of vasanas, superset of thoughts, superset of actions. Each one of us is like the subset in it. So
Maybe
now
when the
if
server is
all
down,
these
it is
thoughts are
sleeping.
now, all these vasanas go into a
Yeah,
pralaya.
maybe like when the server is down. It's the pralaya.
Like YouTube server is down
Yeah.
now.
It is still there in the cloud. The information, basic info is there. The server is down. So the gross manifestation is not perceived
Yes.
in sleep. Something for us to,
Just to relate to.
yeah, that's all. At the micro level, in our individual level, we can also think of relate to Nitya Pralaya as that is happening continuously. One thought rises, stays, goes back. Another thought rises, stays, goes back. That also is it is incessant Srishti Sthiti Laya happening. At our micro level, if we can relate the same thing. At the macro level, all this it's huge. And at the micro level also, it is a wonder, actually, if we pay attention to. So,
Like at the macro level, every moment there is a star that is born and a star that dies.
Yeah.
Like that, there is a cell that is born, the cell dies. There is a thought that is born, the thought dies. It arises, it goes. So that's why they say this universe is a fractal. Like you have
All
a
gross and
broccoli.
subtle.
Huh?
All gross and subtle.
Yes. So you have the fractal theory, you have the big broccoli. In the broccoli, there are smaller florets. In each of those smaller florets, there's those micro florets. The taste, the essence of the big broccoli and the small florets are all the same. Like that, whatever is happening is in me is happening in this whole universe, and whatever is happening, yatha brahmanda, tata pindanda. Yatha pindanda, tata brahmanda.
Here, I want to share one. Today, I heard from Raghuramji Artiji.
Yes, yes.
We
please go
attended
ahead.
Mandukya class. We say that at this present moment, no, he gave the example of a dot where no left turn, right turn, tight dot is dot. That is the present moment. So they say Binduvinali Sindhu. Sindhu means entire Brahmanda. And this is a dot. At this dot, everything exists. At this point of time, the moment. Morning also I shared with the Bala Madam's class. So it was, it made me a deep impact in me that if we live in the present moment, that is life.
Yes.
That
Binduvinali Sindhu, we wrote exam, we wrote the sentence, lot of time I did not understand so until today.
yeah,
And
those are
Nick
moments of
also showed me in
realization.
one of the artist class, she showed her that triangles, no, the triangle Sri Chakra, and that you showed me the dot, the ultimate dot.
Yes.
That is the Bindu, that is the Sindhu.
In Indian numerals also, earlier, there was no zero.
Yes.
They should 10 used to be 1 followed by a dot. The dot was the shunya. And then it took the symbol of the zero as we are representing it today. But the dot is very essential. Even in the tree chakra, if you draw everything without the bindu, it's not.
Yes. Yeah.
That is important. When we even draw a rangoli, when we put the upward triangle and the downward triangle to form a star, the dot is very essential there.
Yes. Yes.
Because that is the upward triangle and the downward triangle is the Shiva and Shakti. But the Shiva and Shakti is also there coming from that dot.
Yeah.
The creation is all happening from this moment here now. This present is absolutely that unswavering this point.
Yes. And that is the basic, that is the ultimate.
Yeah. So like in Buddhist thought, they tell, no, the moment you are thinking, you look at a flower and the moment you say, wow, what a beautiful flower, that is in the past. That much, even that fraction of a second, that thought flashes through. But even that thought is in the past.
That's why it's called Avarana. The past comes and covers that dot.
Yeah.
That, In Omkara also, you see the Turiya is the dot.
Mm.
Omkara is you put a 3 and this, and then that Bindu. Bindu is Amrita Bindu Upanishad itself is there, no? Where that Bindu is Bhagavan, Brahman.
Mm.
Moment.
Sindhu is Sindhu. That's ultimate.
Yes. Even a line is nothing but multiple points, multiple dots.
Mm.
When you see that line, and that line is a continuation, you don't have never-ending line. It keeps going, and that line is nothing but multiple dots in the tiniest form. So they're like multiple now, here and now, next moment. Just be totally with this moment.
One devotee told this 3 things. It's very powerful. Then and there we can remind ourselves. Says, be in the self, be in truth, be in the presence. 3 all the time. Be in the self. So then this avarana doesn't, bother us. It comes, it goes. It does not really hides the truth. When we, pay attention to the thoughts stream, then that is when it acts as a screen. If it is here and something is happening, then so Bindu is yes, be in the self, be in the truth, be in the present. That's fantastic. Now here is truth.
Also, when they say going beyond the bhur, bhuva, swaha, you say you have all these lokas. In a way, you can call that bhur, bhuva, swaka. The 3 lokas are the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. And beyond all that is the turiya.
Yeah.
Turiya is Brahman. When I chant Aum, Om is made of A, U, and When we chant Om, the importance, Raghuramji always says people will have competitions on how long I can chant the Om. But the greatness of the Omkara is not only in the Omkara, it is in the silence that precedes, that comes after the Omkara and before the next Omkara. We must remember to stay with that silence when we chant Om. Now that silence, we need to learn to focus on that silence. We chant the Omkara so that we can get in touch with the silence. The Turiya.
He also told one story about this Omkara in one of the classes, not today, so I don't remember which class. One guru has given, what is it, Japa, Omkara Japa for students. Everyone came and reported how many they did. And one student did not turn up. They asked him, he was not came out of that first Omkara. So he was still in silence, that silence.
So he is in silence. He's established in silence.
Then the teacher appreciated them. Everyone was surprised. They had done more malas than him. Then he explained this, the silence after Omkara, which is very, very important.
The Omkara is like our thoughts.
Yeah.
When we are having too many thoughts, you just chant Om to cover the thoughts. And then after that Omkara, go into the silence. So the thoughts are also covered and you get into the silence.
The one very powerful practice which really worked for me is Didi used to say, Nagaratna Didi, when the mind is filled with thoughts, start chanting Om with the speed of the thoughts. When I'm so agitated, thought after thought after thought after thought. Okay, so start like Om, 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 Om. Okay, it cannot go for a very long time. Automatically, it will reduce. The more that Om starts reducing, and then slowly, automatically, it is actually natural for us. we are not paying attention to it. It is very natural for us to slip into the silence. We think we are caught up in thoughts. No, it is very natural for us to go into silence actually. The thoughts are something which is not natural. So this Om, she beautifully said, and it really, for me, it really, I think it must have worked for many of them. Do that, and then, it slows down, and then slowly the silence between two Omkara, the attention goes there. First step. And then slowly what happens? The silence that pervades the Omkara, it just pervades there, and there is only silence. So that is the entire, whatever we say, the final thing is to subside in silence. So that's a very powerful practice actually.
It is
Towards
Om
the-
meditation, na?
Hmm?
It is what we learn in Om meditation.
Yeah. Yeah, many years back when I was learning, Didi shared this. It was fantastic. When we practice it and when it, like what Bhargaviji was saying, sometimes we do get that, no? Yes, it is working. So today Bindu has really spoken to her. Mhm. Yes, so the 7 rishis. For the 7 rishis, the name of the Lord was their Kavacha. See, the Lord's name. Be not afraid, O king. The Lord's name will tide us over this perilous journey. This is also a beautiful sadhana, just like this Om. Whenever the journey is so, we do not know why it is happening, what is happening, so many things that we go through in life, Lord's name, repeating the Lord's name, constantly, that itself gives that fearlessness. Yes, there is something beyond. Okay, I may lose this, I may lose this, I may lose this. But I am not this, I am not this, I am not this. Whatever. A lot of realizations come for each one of us. So, Lord, that's what is good. Be not afraid. Once the fearlessness sets in, then it is freedom. Isn't it? There is no fear, it is freedom. So, be
Our
not.
biggest fears are fear of losing, fear of facing, we discussed last week.
Yeah.
So one very good way to come out of this fear is Lord's name, absolutely. And also to be detached is to mentally imagine losing it. What will happen if I lose it? If I lose this? My fear of losing is that only, right? And I hold on like dear life. But now just imagine I have lost this. What will happen?
Facing your fear?
Huh?
Is it like facing your fear?
Yes, it is facing that
Hypothetically.
fear. Now, fear of losing, you face it. You face your fear and tell yourself, okay, if this is not there in my life, what will happen? What are all the possible things that can happen? Go through that. This is exactly what Ramana Maharshi did with death, which is the final, his body. He suddenly felt one fear of death coming, and then he started asking, who is the one who is fearing this? He started facing that death. What will happen? Okay, now I am dying. Now, if I am dying, what is happening? Which part of me is dying? Inquiring, facing that itself is a way to let go. Like that, even our small attachments, just to. Now, many will fear if I imagine it will happen. Okay, so I will not even want to think about that. No, I should not even talk about it. I should not even think about it.
Actually, that is what a lot of people tell us actually. When we think about it, it will happen.
When we are fearful about it all the time, that becomes our filter.
No, when we are
Without
fearful,
adding
the
any
fears come
emotions,
true.
we should imagine, right?
Uh-huh.
Without adding any emotions, we should imagine
So
that.
here we are not, we are doing it to overcome the fear. We are not indulging in the filter and acting through that. What we are trying to do is face it and overcome it.
Without emotions.
Yeah, see,
emotions
the
also
fear,
may come in. So
if I
what is the
can
emotion?
say, Aarti, 1 second. Fear When there is fear, okay, I may tell myself I will not think about it, only then it'll
Yeah.
happen, but the fear manifests outside.
It will.
Okay. As simple as, oh, I don't want to fall when I go in the rain. I used to be very scared to cycle in the rain. Okay. Every time I go, I would end up falling. It was so even simple things, it manifests. When we have fear, it manifests. So what Divya is referring to is a very different thing. That is not, that's called bhava. There is some inner intuition which brings out a beautiful, it is not an imagination. It is something that inner one is bringing out, and then, that is not in our hands. It's like a vision, then this power of thought and all that is like that. What I keep thinking manifests outside. They say, right? What I keep, the thought is there, and then it manifests. But many times it is not in our hands. Okay, that is why we have affirmations where the mind has subsided, and then those affirmations, when the chitta vritti is kind of settled, that is when affirmations are it is from the deep layers of the mind. It is not as simple as like now I just tell and then it's not like that. It is not at the surface level. That is why when we do all the relaxations and yoga nidra, whatever, the affirmations are given after the mind has, reasonably subsided. So that is a different thing altogether, where Divya was asking what we imagine comes true, the power of thought and all that. Yes, the power of affirmation is definitely there. But that happens only when the inner being, there is a communication with the inner being, and the inner being manifests. It is not at the surface level. But fear is at a very surface level. It is bothering me. So, like, we are consciously imagining to get out of it. So they are two different things.
We are doing it with awareness. That is the important part here.
One of the Dr. Usha Vastar, she's a neuroscientist and Ramakrishna Ashrama devotee. She's almost become like a sannyasini. She was there in the US for 30 years. She's a doctor. She has done some 70 research papers, something like that. So as Bala Madam said, the affirmations works at neuron level. And she says it changes the brain itself, the structure of the brain. So the chanting, the affirmations, everything works at the neuron, the positive psychology, what she mentions always.
But yet that is at the body level, Bhargaviji. I think affirmations go much deeper.
No. What she says
The source is
neurons, even inside the atomic level, she says. The God particle, what she says, that is the God. God is not outside. God is not in idols. It is your each and every atom is the God. The affirmations works at that level. Manifestation, everything.
Affirmations are conscious. Some unconsciously we are taking so many thoughts which are becoming our vasanas.
Yes.
Here we are consciously making affirmations. Those becomes our thoughts, regular thoughts, which now become our vasanas. Reprogramming our vasanas and hence overcoming. Yes, Divya.
Every cell is consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, what I wanted to know is when like the affirmation is just at the mental level, it feels fake, at least for me. That when I'm just saying something and I know it is not coming from within, it
doesn't matter, Divya. So many things you don't mean it when you're listening to it, or you may not be even feel you are taking it, but you are taking it in.
Yeah, so it's like that only. We take affirmations also.
Fake it until you make it. Fake it until you make it.
Fake it until you make it.
Yeah.
I think Prabha ma'am will give some insight.
I think yeah. So like that, so if you want to just think about, so I'm very attached. There are people who say, whenever my husband travels, I feel very scared. I feel, what if something, there is a fear of losing, there is a fear. Think about it. What will happen at the most? What are all the things that can happen? In a way, what it does is, when we face it, we accept the fear. We are not suppressing it, first of all. We are first looking at the fear at, straight at its face, like facing it straight. And it also gives me a sense of courage in that case. And some kind of detachment happens with that fear. The moment I face it. Okay, let me face it. Let me
That is a realization.
realization.
There is something beyond. If I lose also, I continue.
I will continue.
That continuation, that whatever, I don't stop, that is there. So that gives a lot of, be it Lord's name, be it anything, the moment attention goes to the eternal, fearlessness is there. That's all. Take any method, whatever.
See, it
The
used to
attention
be,
goes there.
it used to be our practice, in the olden days. I mean, nowadays people don't do it. That anybody who lives home, is always wished well to come back home safe, and it always taken the name of the God. And in Bengal, I used to say, anybody who lives home, they used to say Durga Durga, means Durga Durga.
Let her protect.
Okay, the name of the Lord usually. So once they are saying that I'm leaving home, I mean, wherever they are going, even somebody visits your home, they're leaving home, they would say, when they say finally they are going, they would always say Durga Durga. In the beginning, I used to wonder why they are saying, but it's the name of the Lord. Finally, it is he or she who is protecting you. I mean, that's a reminder probably as to overcome such fears of,
It's a form of surrender. Because when my children moved away and had to live alone, it's very scary for the mother in a way. So I would just say, whenever I call up, whenever I say, I'll just say Sri Rama Jayam Shri. It's like in my mind, I was putting one kavacha. It's like, okay, now God, so it is like surrender, right? Nothing, it is not in my control. So
Yeah,
I
and
don't want to constantly
yeah,
be in
you
that fear.
see in any form, when I went to that, what is that, Swaminarayan temple, we were doing some training for that. Everybody would say Jai Swaminarayan or something. They'll join their hands and say Swaminarayan or something. And if you go to Shirdi, there everybody says Sai Ram, and so it's like inbuilt in us to say that, to be always protected by the divine, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it is mechanical, it works.
Even if it is mechanical, it works. Correct.
It's the power of the name. It's not in our power.
Yeah. Yeah. My mother, when she used to get up from the floor up, she would always read Shri Hari Srinivasa, she would say. From the floor, she is getting up from the floor, she would say Shri Hari Srinivasa. Automatically it comes to me also whenever I'm making an effort to change my position or something like that. Yeah. So that used to be the practice. Yeah.
The one in that atomic level is reminded always.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even while taking food or taking bath or anything, that is Krishna Arpanamastu is the one.
Beautiful.
At the fraction of a second, split second, anything may happen, no? To our body, to our mind, to our brain. That is enough to know that it works at that level.
True.
Wonderful. The Lord's name will tide us over this perilous journey.
I'm reminded of a beautiful anecdote that Nuchu Swami always shares when it comes to Nama Japa. He always shares the story of a Mahatma, I think Lakshmana Swami, I think. Okay. He was in his ashram at Hosur. So he says that after retirement, Lakshmana Swami, that Swami, he took up Ramanama Japa. How much? Some 30 crores or something. Okay, it's not a less number. He takes up that and he starts Ramanama Japa. And then he starts Panchakshara Japa, you know, something from within. He used to get lot of, he says, now he has commanded me to do this Japa. And he would do that. Yeah. So he lived for nearly 90 years or so. So Swami says during Corona time, looks like he got an attack of Corona only. Yeah. But he did not acknowledge, he did not take any treatment, he did not acknowledge that anything has happened to him because he was constantly. So the japa has gone into the deeper, whatever, you know, beyond the body and the mind, that whatever the body was going through. So Swami says, you know, children of that, in that ashram, they all were serving him. Okay, somebody, you know, all those who were there, they all saw how that Nama Japa worked, you know, literally, because we keep hearing the, you know, that Choka Mela story, right? In Marathi saint, whose a bone was also reverberating with Vithal. So, like that, this Lakshmana Sharma, this Swami, almost his nearly, you know, end of life also, the Panchakshari was just going. You know, they could see that Panchakshari, you know, continuously, that vibration was there. And everybody was chanting Vishnu Sahasranama. And he says, what was one line? He would say, no, Narayana, something. I forget that. Okay, that line in Vishnu Sahasranama. When that comes, everything just stopped. He basically left the body. So even when the body failed, the mind was not working, chanting was happening. This, even a personal, I would like to share a very personal thing also with the recent one of our, you know, when he passed away also, he became the mind failed, the body failed, there was so much pain in the body, the mind failed. But when the Narayana Nama was reminded to him, he could hold on to that Nama. We could just see that that Nama is beyond the body and the mind. It is definitely not at the body and the mind level. So that is Bhagavan. That is the true, it is something, it is a very amazing thing. So just Nama is enough to be connected with that divinity within. Body will fail, mind will fail. This is all in Prakriti. Something, you know. So I may blabber something because of my vasana. I may shout at people because of my vasana. But inwardly, when the chanting, japa is happening, that is what matters. I think it's a very different outlook, but that is how it is. You know, actually, that is how Bhagavatam also teaches us.
Sharda Devi also tells the same, no, for all ladies, grahasthis. We
Yeah.
cannot study, we cannot do any practices. So now japa always
Yes.
keep it in mind, whatever you're doing.
But not 10, 12, 2 beats, 3 beats, 2 malas and all.
No
Sharda
count,
Mata,
no count, no count.
no count.
Keep doing.
Just keep doing.
Yeah.
And
but
she says, if you do
initially,
it,
count
if it-
only gives us initially, Sharada Devi, she says, have a count because that will only give you a hold on that. Initially, it will be
concentration.
there. To go beyond count, it takes time for
It
the
is with
japa
every
to enter
breath.
your system. And Sharada Mata says, 1 lakh minimum a day, Ramanama. You do that and see if the mind
Yes.
does not stop.
Mm.
So,
As
But
you said,
intense
warm.
tapas is necessary. Everybody
Yeah,
says you do one 5 minutes, it will take 1,000 years.
yeah.
You do 1,000 minutes in a day, it will be just as fast.
Yes.
It
Okay,
will,
but even one nama doesn't go waste.
nothing
We'll
goes
be
waste.
born again to continue that.
But if we want to, you know, quickly.
Yeah.
So that japa mala when you have, or even in the fingers when you're doing it, constantly that becomes a reminder. You're doing some, it becomes a reminder. Your fingers are constantly moving. It becomes
Autopilot mode will go to
autopilot
Yes,
mode, and then they're
autopilot.
like, oh, the fingers move. Oh, okay, japa.
Mm.
And then, you know, it's like one more reminder when that happens.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, count doesn't matter, but something we need initially too. Yes. So the Lord, finally Lord's name. Yeah, one of you.
So they were all singing the praises of the Lord when they could discern the form of an immense fish, golden in color. It came near. As he had been instructed, Satyavrata tied the boat to the horn of the fish. The boat was tossed about by the waves, and yet they were not afraid since the Lord had taken them under his wing. The kings, because the Lord has taken them under his wing, they were not afraid. Because they were not afraid since they knew that the Lord has taken them under his wing. He's always taken us under his wing. It's just that we have to be aware of that. The king saluted the Lord and said, "My Lord, it is with your grace that human beings who are tossed about in the world of ignorance attain salvation. You guide them into light out of darkness, and it is up to you to teach us the Atma Vidya, the knowledge which will make us realize ourselves as one with you. Please teach me the secret of it. Teach me how to unravel the knots of Ahankara and Mamakara, which blind man into thinking that the Maya which envelops him is true. Help us to break this veil asunder and see ourselves as we are, one with you." This Maya, when you talk about this Maya, everybody is very quick these days to understand, yeah, it is your subjective, their subjective reality, it is our subjective reality. Okay, we are understanding that we are all having our own subjective realities, but we are not thinking, oh, then what is the truth? There is a truth behind this, beyond this subjective reality. And that seeking of the truth beyond the subjective reality. Okay, I am thinking like that, the other person is thinking like that. I am seeing this, the other person is seeing this. So I hold on to my subjective reality. Because this is my subjective reality, somewhere this is mine. Ahankara, Mamakara. But what is it beyond? If this is my subjective reality, somebody, so if it is everybody's subjective reality, what is the final truth though? It is our perception of something outside which we are taking in our own way. Our own perceptions of how we are in. So what is it that is beyond that? What is the actual truth? That seeking also has to come. Otherwise, I am holding on to my subjective reality. I am realizing also maybe at some point that it is my subjective reality. But because it is my subjective reality, I hold on to it. It is very dear to me.
The snake example you give, how the snake sees the rat.
Yeah. No, but one is at an outer level, we can get into fights. But these days, people very nicely, you can have your thought, I can have my thought. And I hold on to my thought very strongly. That you can have your thought, I can have my thought is at a level where we say, okay, all of us are having only our perception and we are working through these perceptions. I accept myself as I am. I accept the other as they are. The reality is something different, but we have to work through these perceptions. So we work through these perceptions. No, but then this is my subjective reality and I make that subjective reality my real world. I make that my Jagat. This is my world.
This
Instead of
subjective
going
reality,
Huh?
the subjective reality, no? That itself, if we see, the base is only Ahankara. Yeah, that is Ahankara, the mind, that's all. It's just a perception. The base is Ahankara. So that has to go. This is a beautiful story that Ramana Bhagavan says. Many would have heard. It is like a police comes to a village to catch hold of a thief. He comes and he asks one person, now I have come here. I keep hearing that, one thief has been stealing in many houses. So I am here to catch hold of the thief. Then that man says, oh, is it? Yeah, I'll definitely help you. So that night they go around, look for the thief. They are not able to find. He says, I'll help you. And both of them together are hunting for the thief. They don't find. 2-3 days they go around and the policeman finally gives up and says, I am unable to find the thief, and goes away. So here, the one who has helped him hunt himself is a thief. So when I say, oh, I am with my subjective reality, you are with your subjective reality, it is this Ahankara, the thief which is stealing the truth is what is talking. I am talking from this very, the Aham Vritti according to Bhagavan's, the thought that I am this so and so, that is not real. We must, contemplate on this and understand. So whatever I say, I and mine, it is again like what we said, it is not in that now. They are just the past thoughts which are dead, or the future ones. Because when I say, okay, my perception is this, automatically now I am in the realm of the mind. Isn't it? So it is
No,
like,
it becomes like parallel lines, no? Spirituality is one line, life is one line. They never meet. There is no
they
use.
don't meet. They don't meet.
Yes.
It is like,
Yes.
the
Railway track.
midway thing. We fall into the ahankara, or am I holding on to the self? They don't meet. The ahankara and self.
Spirituality will not meet.
Hmm.
So it will be like, I know the
Ahankara
subject.
can dissolve into
I will
the
live my
self.
life.
Ahankara can dissolve into the self.
Yeah.
Hmm.
See, whenever our ahankara is not risen, it is dissolved in self only. In fact, Swami says, we all think, oh, so much ego, aham, vritti. He says, just like how in a room, our attention is only on the things that are there, but the space is much, much more than the things that are there. Similarly, ahankara also raises its hood only then and there. Most of the times, we are in consciousness only, that chit only. We fail to recognize, he says. It is very empowering, isn't it? To even know that, even he says, if we think continuously like that, we'll go insane. So it is not like that. Actually, it rises. That's why, it is very difficult to hold. Many people say, what is this aham vritti? How to hold? It does not rise like that. Only when some agitation happens, it rises its hood. Otherwise, it is dissolved in the self. And functionally, something is happening. All the time we don't think I'm doing. Are we doing that? No, right? It is just happening. Right? Only when
There is a beautiful analogy for this.
Hmm.
Like the self and what you call the ego. Ego is risen out from the self only. When the self thinks that it's a different entity altogether, then that becomes the ego, right? So you start looking at that. So it's like the ego is like the reflection that appears in the angles of what is self. Self is steady, right? So it is like, even if there is a degree, so if the angle between the self and the ego is, then the ego is merging with the self. Then you are kind of in that sthita prajna style. The moment there is a deviation, so the angle appears, then the reflection begins to appear. If you see that the two mirrors are kept, if they are superimposing, there is no another image, right? So if it is only that, if the two mirrors are in some form of an angle, some deviation there, then it appears. The more you make it, and if you see that if they are parallel to each other, the number of images is infinite. So you need to always kind of remind yourself. That is why the Nama Japa is there. So which just kind of brings that angle, that reduces that angle, and then tells you that you're not that, you're not that, you're not that. So it's a reminder of that. So even a slight angle, if you see that 40 degrees, you will see 3 or 4 images.
Yeah.
So which is manifesting in different forms, and each one is telling you a different thing.
Very beautiful. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says it is like the chandelier. There is only one bulb, but we see so many reflections.
Exactly. You see the images.
When we know it is a reflection, it looks beautiful.
Mm.
It is a srishti. Yeah. We can make this whole thing a celebration when we don't identify with it.
Yeah.
When we get caught, that is a problem. Yes, Aditi.
So yeah, it's just like that, like this multiple chandeliers. It is the same me as the mother, as the father, as the the mother, as the sister, as the in so many forms. And Raghuram Ji from Patanjali Sutra, the Yoga Sutra, the way he uses is the one without the ahankara and the mamakara is the asmita in all these roles, and the one where the ahankara and the mamakara is superimposed, then it becomes ahankara, that is acting out of me and mine, and possession. Then when there is possession, there is fear of losing. As a mother, as a sister, when that's it. Even as a mother, there is that sthita prajna. The role is just there, but there is that sthita prajna doing whatever. Absolute awareness. In that awareness, you are conducting yourself for whatever that role is demanding. But the moment what is the child going to think about me comes, what will happen to my child? What will other people think about? I am doing so much, but they are not recognizing. All these are forms of ahankara, mamkara. Then I fall from that sthita prajna lakshana. In every role, whatever work I am doing, the moment there is a judgment comes in, there is a moment there is a irritation that comes in, somewhere it is coming from that ahankara or that mamakara. I have fallen from that sthita prajna in that role. In every role, Sthita Prajna Lakshana is not only when I am sitting, not doing anything, or when I am doing chanting, it is when I am conducting myself in everything. So everybody there is Narayana. Whatever I am doing is an offering to the Lord. Every work I am doing is an offering to the Lord. Then there is no irritation, right? There is no judgment of the kind of person that I am even serving to. Because that also is only Lord. I'm not even thinking this is the Lord, I am serving the Lord. It is not even that. It is just that. Go ahead. Just do your bit. You are with you. So that's why in Vedanta, there is no other. There is only I. That's supreme I. There is no, they are doing this, that something comes in, then I have fallen from that Sthita Prajna. There is only that I.
Sarvam khalu idam Brahma. That's why they say Isha Vasyam idam sarvam. You have cover everything as Isha. What? Yat kincha jagatyam jagat. So as Aarti was saying, when that thought, see, we might be in that moment and functioning, something triggers and then the mind starts functioning. Okay, we can see that happen, we'll be there. It'll be happening very beautifully. So there is joy and it is just there being in the present, and it's not a conscious thing. It is just happening. But suddenly there is some disturbance and mind rises. That is when the mind is born. The moment that rises, it covers the truth. That is why it's called avarana. That is why that is Maya. So when it rises, it covers. So what the Upanishad says is, that is Jagatya, that is my world. World is not this house and people and, that is not world. World is that this is rising as a separate entity from Bhagavan. Something which is separate from him is rising. It is not true. There cannot be anything apart from Brahman. Brahman alone exists. That is a declaration of Upanishads. So when it rises, the moment it rises, Upanishad says, cover it with Isha. That is also Bhagavan only. Oh, you are coming. Come. Again, how can I cover? Adopt Nama Japa. Very easy method. Very, very
Take
easy.
Nama Japa to step back.
That's it.
Into the awareness. To become
then
aware.
This being just disappears. Or again back. So mind is something that arises apart, like what Annapurnaji beautifully said, that angle. Moment there is a shift from center, mind arises. That's something that arises that apart from him. thinks that it is not Brahman, then mind is born. So that is Maya. So that envelops, that's what he says, no? It blinds the man into, it really blinds, that Maya is enveloping and all. So here the king Satyavrata is telling the Lord, this is actually a beautiful stuti, Matsya Avatara stuti. We must maybe, it's a very 5-6 verses only. So I think this is the meaning for the first verse. That she
Teach
say,
me
he
how
says,
to unravel. We are all there, no? Ahankara, Mamkara. We should look at it.
I
If it
thought
is
you
5-6
were telling
verses.
here one story here in
ah,
this Ahankara Mamkara. I just remembered there was once a king, and a saint had come to the village, and the king offered camp space for the saint to stay there and do discourses and pravachana and all that. So the saint was settled along with his disciples in this new camp space. A lot of people were surrounding him to hear him, and the king decides to enter the space. So the king, while dressing up itself, he was, thinking, oh, I need to dress up very well. I'm going to face the saint. The saint has to look at me as if, that this king has done a good job in offering the space. Yeah. Oh, he's dressed up really well. I think he must be knowledgeable also by the way he's dressed up. So these were the thoughts which were running with the king when he was dressing up, and he was smiling to himself that, looking at his mirror and looking at everything. Okay, I'm not bad. I'm looking really good. I think the saint will be quite impressed with me. Maybe I'll share the recent book which I've been reading also, and I'll ask a few questions maybe so that the saint knows that I'm not only into the worldly matters, but also into the spiritual matters. So, and then the king dressed up beautifully and then came. The rishi, the saint was sitting there, and the king decided that I need to offer something to the saint in front of everyone. It'll be nice, isn't it? Something which is so extraordinary that the saint eyes need to pop up. So he thought that let me offer my diamond ring to the saint. That'll really shine in this sunset time also. And also a beautiful lotus in my garden. It has come out so beautifully. So my garden is also filled with so many lotuses and lilies. I'll take the best of the lotus and I'll tell the king, the saint, that this is from my garden, which is beautifully tended by my gardeners. So the king had one diamond ring and one lotus, and he walks towards the saint. The saint was actually giving the pravachana. Suddenly, the saint shouted, "Drop it," saint said. And everyone just, no, they were all, the saint was actually sharing something. And suddenly, when the saint shouted and said, "Drop it," everyone just did not know what. So whatever they had in hand, they dropped. The king was walking along the way. He also stood and he did not know what to drop. So because the saint was actually looking at him. So he thought, oh, maybe let me drop my diamond. So the thought, oh God, if the diamond falls, then is it okay? Okay, the saint is telling that the diamond fall. So the diamond ring, he allowed it to fall. Then he continued walking. I hope the diamond ring continues to remain there. Let me anyway walk. I don't know what is in the mind of the saint. The saint again shouted, "Drop it," said. He did not understand anything. Okay, right now in his hand, the lotus is there. Then he decides to drop that. He continues his journey towards the saint. He was walking. The saint again shouted, "Drop it, O king. How long are you going to keep it?" The king did not understand. Suddenly, it just dawned on him, oh my God, I have been completely revolving around my own thoughts of my ego, how I have to show forward everything. And immediately, it's some kind of a shift happened within him. The gaze of the saint kind of gave that shift towards him, and suddenly he just, wherever he was, he just immediately fell on his knees and prostrated in front of the saint, and just that's it. And immediately the saint smiled. So I think by now all of us would have understood by the way I told the dialogues, the thoughts of the king and what he had to drop.
So that is the way very beautifully, this whole story itself revolves around Ahankara and Mamakara. Both together had beautifully understood by this story and how it had veiled the king so much. So we might be not maybe a king or a queen or whatever it is, but this Ahankara veils us. And the moment there is fear in our mind, that is itself a kind of an egoistic thought. As a moment an anger comes, a frustration come, an irritation come, and somebody, she was mentioning about the subjective reality recently in my workshop also. There were some people who were talking about that I'm unable to express. I can't express, Prabha. I can't. So when you say I can't, that means you have stopped yourself to moving, to allowing that shift. When you are
Yeah.
not allowing that shift by saying can't, then shift might not happen. And
Yeah.
that itself is an egoistic thought that I
Mm,
can't,
I
Prabha.
can't do it.
I can't. You cannot think that I'm not at all expressive, Prabha. How can you say express? So I can't do it. So the moment I said, okay, shall we shift from drop that I can't. The moment we say that the dropping is these kind of words which stops from our growth. And that mamakara is those I can't, I don't, I will, I should. All these things are actually the mamakara parts. The moment,
Somewhere my fear of letting go of that
yes,
nature of mine.
yes, because it is how we have labeled ourselves, or somebody might have labeled that I am like this. I am
Hmm.
like this, Prabha. That's it. I am. So I don't know what you are asking me to do. So it brings a little bit of some disturbance. Ripples are causing there, but you know what? These ripples actually brings about change. Only thing is we need to go with the flow. At flow, we need to go with the flow and understand that you hold on to the horn like horn of the fish. You hold on and you move, have a beautiful jet ski ride, thinking that yes, there will be ocean, there will be ups and downs of the waves, but you're holding on, thinking that if you, or some of you might have gone for a jet ski ride or something like that, and I'm sure in the ocean, you would find that the wave just smashes against you when you are in that boat, right? It is not a smooth ride, but still some driver will be sitting next to you, holding on to you, and you feel, okay, he's there anyway, thank God, like that. So same way, we need to remember that when these kind of thoughts come, we drop and we remember who is within us. We continue to tell that I'm breaking the veil and I'm moving away, thinking that this is not me. I am actually expressive. That bhavana, that love is actually expressive in nature. Only thing is, we have stopped ourselves in letting it out. The veils have come. So when somewhere in the veils have come, and then the intellect, like Raghuramji says, no, in Narada Bhakti Sutra, the intellect keeps telling you, Prabha, you're not very expressive, Prabha. You can't communicate properly, Prabha. Your thoughts cannot be expressed so lovingly, Prabha. So all these also are mamakaras. The moment we let it go, we allow the love to ooze out. When it oozes out, beautifully loving communication comes. And then we are one. We are one with Bhagavan because the love just beautifully comes out. And then when it comes out, if nothing, the mamakara is not there, ahankara is not there, it will just drop on its own. You don't need to specifically drop the anchor there. It will itself, it will disappear because there finally the love will help you rise. Like Raghuramji says, right? It is like a candle flame. It will just keep rising. It is not going to see what is in the air. Is the air suited for me? Nothing. It just rises. So we just rise, and the wax just melts downwards, and we rise. So everything drops, and we rise, and then we are able to see ourselves. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
It is okay to stand up for myself. It is okay to speak up. All of these affirmations can help overcome. Somewhere we have that fear of, okay, I should not speak like that. Okay, no, I can't speak like that. You don't have to speak like the other person, but there are different ways in which it can, when the more we, what would you say, the more we
Press.
put it down, we kind of control it, we resist it, it grows. We become more constricted, we become more limited, there is more irritation. within us. More things irritate us. We become more intolerant, in fact, in reality, within us, to things around. Instead of moving to acceptance, we become more and more constricted and more intolerant to the world. Our world becomes small. This is our acceptance. Anything beyond this is not in my acceptance. And it will irritate me. Dhyayato ivitayan vishayan punsaha sangastheshu pajayate. I see something, I hear something, To accept myself and to be able to express verbally without fear. When that fear or that resistance is not there, it will come out more smoothly. When that vasana, when we have been able to overcome, it will come out in a beautiful way. That is the only way to let go of that vasana. But we are afraid of how it will come off and we hold back. We may make some mistakes. As long as the intention is right, we will keep trying, practicing, and doing. As
We
long as the
crave for-
intention is not to hurt the other, but to express myself.
We crave for the good girl label.
Yes.
Good girl. Yes. Goodness. We
Not
want to
from
see.
the other, even from my own self.
Yes,
I have this image of what is a good girl. I have this image of if I speak like that, it is not acceptable. I will just tell one story. When I was in school, there was one PT teacher who used to act very wrongly with the girls. Too much of hugging and this and that, and boys, some of the boys who were not very good, he would hit them very badly and things like that. He was the extreme, too much of. And I didn't like it when he would come, and I didn't feel it was appropriate somehow. All the other girls will squirm and do this and that and then, but will not speak anything. And then one day I said, sir, you please maintain distance from me. I don't like this. I was in 7th standard, I think, 7th or 8th or something. I said, please, in Tamil, I said, konja doorathla irundhu pesunga, sir, please. I just said, please speak from a distance. You will not believe me. I just spoke up for myself, but so many girls came and said, as though I was wrong, how could you speak like that to a teacher? You made him look wrong. How could you speak like everybody is squirming? Believe me, that's how everybody is thinking. You should not talk like that to an elder. You cannot talk like this to somebody. I really, at that point in time, I felt alienated because as though I had done something wrong for standing up for myself. But afterwards, there was also a point when he was doing very much with these girls, and I saw these girls were not standing up for themselves. And one of the boys was hit. He was fully nauseous and he vomited. I went to the headmistress and I told her in this pretext that he is hitting the boys too much. And one of them just vomited today. And very slightly, you are at that age, you feel very awkward telling these things. I said, he's not very good with the girls also. The headmistress just looked at me and said, what do you mean? Too much hugging and touching, ma'am. One word I just told. I said, does he do that to you? He used to, not anymore. 3 sentences she heard. I just told these 3 sentences and I left. In 2 months, the teacher was out. With a lot of hesitation, but and they did their janch. I think they did their little bit of. But what I am trying to say is, there is a fear to stand up, these images of this. How can I talk to a teacher like that? As though talking, even when something is wrongly, I'm not comfortable, I am in a discomfort. I cannot stop. I cannot express myself. I will not express myself. Because it is wrong. How can you talk to an elder like that? All I said was, I was just defending my... So I'm saying, and this, what I went and told the headmistress, I didn't go and tell anybody. Because I was afraid of getting alienated again. all of them coming and talking to me and saying, okay, because so I went and told, but I didn't come and tell the others that I went and told the headmistress like this. What I felt, I just went and told them. But this is a very big stigma for us. Respect is very different. It doesn't mean I am being disrespectful when I stand up for myself and my discomfort.
What will others think of me?
What will others think of me?
That itself is mamakara actually. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thinking about me.
My self-image, no? I'm so caught up with my self-image.
Only thing is we need to remember is when we are expression with loving communication. Even if I stand up for myself, I need to have that groundedness, and I
Yeah.
stand up and speak the right words rather than becoming that coming where we are not even aware what is coming out from our mouth.
That is important. That stepping back and then responding is important.
Yes, so that's why we need to, all of us need to do the abhyasa of grounding ourselves, so that even when we are provoked, you are standing up for yourself, for our own integrity, but also the words which is coming out is also having it strong with integrity, but it is not with mamakara. It's not like, what will you think of me? So I'm going to say, how dare you think of me like that? Also, you're not saying. My point is the right point. Also, you're not wanting to say, but you are standing up for yourself. So everywhere it is important. The moment if Aarti says that she stood up for herself, the word she used only 4 sentences in front of the PT teacher, but stored 4 sentences. She stood up, grounding herself. She did not shout. She did not scream. She did not do all that. She just stood firmly, and that 4 sentences made an impact on the teacher. This is where we all need to remember that, you go back home after the class, and my mother-in-law shouted at me, so I am standing up for myself. I do gali to her. Please, that is not standing up for yourself. Huh? Please remember that. Huh? Okay. Yeah.
Centeredness again. Being in the center. When we ourselves are agitated, do the Nama Japa. Being in the center, then the right actions come out. The right words come out.
Sometimes initially when I'm overcoming it is very hard for me to do it at that point. So imagine that situation and think, how else can I handle it? Keep rewiring the system. Think it through. How can I handle it at this point? Because we are overcoming some limitation within us. It's very hard for us to kind of push out. So imagine that this is happening again. If, okay, I didn't react now. I kind of didn't act, but I can do this. Just start thinking slowly. That can become a pattern, and you will learn to express. Step back. I will step back, and I can say this. I will step, not to say, I should have said this. No. But what else? How else can I handle that situation? Just rewiring it in your mind, and slowly it will become part of your system.
Another beautiful Bhagavatam way is, yes, this time I have fallen into the trap of my own limitation. Krishna, I surrender to you. Show me the way. You will find the way. He shows. It works. When we totally surrender, when we think, what comes out is given by him only. Isn't it? It is that Antaryamin who is speaking as a thought. So the centeredness is all that, and surrendering to him and say, I don't know, you show the way. I'm stuck here. Then a beautiful way opens up. So always that pause is to get ourselves centered.
Yeah, if I'm not even able to imagine how to, yes, just surrender, and it will, but know that I have to overcome this limitation.
Yeah, that also put at his feet. Show something, this works very well. Show you in that. Where are you there? Why am I not seeing you there? Isha Vasyam idam sarvam, right? So not, I don't know, it depends on the individuals. But then the more we communicate and connect to the inner one, it works.
You can learn to talk to the inner one only.
Yeah.
And then when you are expressing, right, you're not hurting, you're just then when you learn to communicate with the divine within, this whole talk you're doing, slowly, even when you're talking out, it is to the divine.
Yeah, yeah. And there is
And then it will
no
come out
problem with
freely,
integrity, no?
without that, when it does not come out through the ahankara or the mamakara, but just from one very firm grounding, it will reach out also. It will also reach out very clearly without hurting. But but from a space of courage within.
Yeah, then the communication is very correct and
Very correct, it will come.
effective also.
Yes, exactly. Both effective, because very few words will be used. So initially you can practice with Krishna. As that person.
Works very well. Works very well. Just talk and communicate with the inner one. He'll give you the words. The moment we surrender, ahankara is gone, right? Centeredness is there. That's all it is.
To remember the divine at all point in time.
Yeah, it's 9:37. No, 7:37.
Time is.
Next week, maybe we can
Actually, if we
see.
start talking to ourselves, the talking outside comes down.
Yes,
Correct.
we don't.
Talking
Sometimes
to
we don't
others.
need to only.
Yes, yeah. We don't feel like speaking much.
Yeah, yeah.
Very correct.
Little ones and all, when we were small with our parents, whenever we used to have angry, like go into the room and Amma, it's always like she does. Why does Amma do? In the mind, we will tell and it's over that moment. Isn't it? When we were small. Chalo. We'll close the session. It's time. Om Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya sarve bhavantu sukhinah sarve santu niramayah sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschid dukkha bad bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you, Aarti ji.